not sponsored, but Celsius, you can sponsor me. First up, grab yourself an energy drink or a coffee and get comfy for this video because it's gonna be long. How I joined Emirates and everything you need to know before you join. Hi guys, so today I will be answering some of the most common questions that I get about becoming Emirates cabin crew, from how to join, what the process is like, to training college, and what to actually expect. So let's start with the first question, which is how to become Emirates cabin crew. So I'm keeping my phone close by because I have a list of things that I want to go through. So what you're going to want to do first is head over to emiratesgroupcareers.com, click on cabin crew. This will open a page where Emirates lists all of the requirements for you to become cabin crew. For example, you need to be at least 21 years old, have a minimum height of 160 centimeters, and be fluent in written and spoken English. All of the requirements are clearly listed on the website, so make sure you carefully read them through. Once you scroll down, you'll see a section where you can choose your location. I chose South Africa, and you want to select the location closest to you that has upcoming recruitment events. After that, you will click apply, and this is where you upload your CV. I really recommend making sure that your CV is up to date and that it highlights all of your customer service experiences. Emirates wants to make sure that you can obviously work with people and that you can work as a team. For example, I included my promotion work from when I was younger, as well as my experience working in human resources. You will also have to upload 2 photos, one portrait photo and one full-length photo. So these photos don't have to be taken professionally, but I do suggest maybe wearing something semi-formal, doing your makeup neatly, and maybe putting your hair in a sleek bun, similar to how cabin crew wear their hair and makeup. Basically, dress for the role so they can picture you in the uniform. Once everything is submitted, you will select the upcoming event that you will be able to attend. Then you just have to wait to hear back from Emirates. If successful, you will receive an email invitation to attend the next open day. Usually, they will also attach a PDF explaining how to dress, or they will redirect you to the Emirates website where the dress code is clearly outlined. I will also put an example on the screen of how you should dress. So for the open day, your hair should be neatly tied back, you should wear a full face of makeup and wear business attire. So wear high heels, wear the red lipstick, and show up for the part. I cannot stress this enough. I highly recommend you dress according to the guidelines that they give you. You should basically arrive at the open day like you are already a flight attendant. I remember from my open day, there were people that didn't follow the dress code, and unfortunately that already creates a bad impression. Emirates is big on following instructions, and not following the dress code just simply shows that you are not taking it very seriously. Another big thing I would say is do not be late. I would suggest rather be an hour early than a minute late. As you can imagine, being cabin crew, punctuality is everything. Like, the aircraft is not gonna wait for you. Emirates takes this very seriously, so make sure you arrive early. So the open day can be quite long, especially if you make it through all of the rounds. There are multiple stages in the process. So the first round is normally like a short introduction where you just introduce yourself, you just mention your customer service and what you are currently doing. So after the introduction round, they already start eliminating people. So I would suggest showing some confidence, but not too much. The best advice I can give you is just to be yourself. Like, you do not have to come across as the best public speaker in the room. Like, you can literally just be yourself. Emirates wants to see the real you, so don't overdo it. Just act natural, friendly, and authentic. Now, I obviously don't know if all of the open days work the same, but at the start you will get a number. So throughout the day, they will put your number on the board if you are moving on to the next round. So there are usually a couple of teamwork rounds where they want to see how well you can work in a group, especially with people you just met. And it makes sense because as cabin crew, you will be working with different people on every flight. So my advice for when you are working as a team is to contribute. Like, don't be shy, contribute, but don't try and dominate the group. Don't try and take over, but don't be shy to contribute and to speak up. I feel like in this situation they are not looking for a team leader. They want people that can work together in a group. Then as a group you will discuss your scenario and everybody will get a turn to speak. After that there will be another elimination round, and then the same process repeats. Leave the room, you come back in and you check if your number is still on the board. I think it's in one of the earlier rounds where they also check your height and if you have any visible tattoos. Then if you make it until the last round, they will take some portrait and full-length photos of you. They will also give you the opportunity to retouch your makeup, maybe redo your hair. They will give you some tips on what to change before they take the photos. After that is normally the final interview. So in our case the day was quite long, so the guys stayed behind to do their final interviews and we had our final interviews only the next day. So I had my interview the next day online, and obviously it was with someone completely new, so I was a little bit nervous. So my biggest advice for your final interview will just be just be yourself. Try and stay calm, maybe prepare a few questions beforehand. Like you can literally look up on TikTok like some of the most common questions that they ask in like final interviews, like cabin crew final interview questions. You can just search that on TikTok. I'm sure you'll find a few questions. And once you are done with your final interview, then you just have to wait for your golden call. Some people hear back in 24 hours, some hear back only in a week, after 2 weeks. So it really just depends. Like there's no like fixed timing. You just kind of have to be patient and wait for your golden call. And when you finally get your golden call, they will usually confirm a few details. I remember I got my golden call when I was literally in the car driving to like a work function. I was like, oh no, I hope they can like hear me over like the Bluetooth speakers. So I was quite nervous, but I was like also so excited to obviously finally get my golden call. And yeah, they will also confirm like your joining date, and then it's basically time to pack and to start preparing to move across the world. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is Emirates crew accommodation. So in my case, I only knew like any details surrounding my accommodation the day I was flying to Dubai. So you don't really know it ahead of time. So don't stress if you don't hear any details about your accommodation, because you'll probably only hear about it the day you are flying. And you can't choose your accommodation. It will be allocated to you, and then after 3 months you can apply to switch accommodations. So you can basically be placed in a new accommodation building or an older accommodation building, somewhere like very central, somewhere very far away. So my advice will be just try and be positive and make the best of what you got. So for example, in my situation, I was placed in an older building, but I was literally walking distance from a Spinneys and a mall, which is amazing. I also think it's important to remember that Emirates is providing you with that accommodation for free. Water and electricity included, and that I feel like is a massive benefit. It's easy to compare your accommodation to maybe some other cruise accommodation that you see on TikTok, but I feel like once again they are providing this accommodation for free. Emirates also provide you with transport to and from work, another massive benefit, because once you move to Dubai, you will realize how expensive it is to take a taxi just from point A to B. You will easily just spend like 60 dirhams on a 20-minute ride. So overall, I will just say go in with it with a very positive and grateful mindset. Then another question that I get asked a lot is whether you receive any kind of allowance when you first arrive. And the answer is yes, you do. That being said, I really recommend using that money wisely. Your training is 2 months, and after the 2 months, they deduct it from your salary. So my advice would be like use the allowance wisely, save some of the money, because when they are deducting it, I think the first 2 months after training, you're basically still getting a basic salary, so you won't have a lot left after they deduct the money. And I would also suggest to not go too crazy with spending in the first 2 months. Training college can be very intense, like long days, early mornings, and you will be tired. Save the beach club days for after training and just focus on the training in the first 2 months. You will have plenty of time to explore Dubai after training. Another question that I get asked a lot is about the training process was it hard, and what it is actually like. So first of all, during training you will be divided into batches, and every batch will be assigned either the morning schedule or the night schedule. I'm very happy that I got the morning schedule, because I think the evening or the night schedule is like from 3 in the afternoon to like 11 something. I'm not sure. As I mentioned, I had the morning schedule, which means the bus I think picked us up at like 6:15, and then the bus picked us up again in the afternoon. So I definitely preferred the morning schedule. Then in terms of difficulty, I wouldn't say that training is like very hard, but it does require like a lot of focus. I would suggest like just paying attention in class, like that will help you a lot. So you will cover subjects like safety and emergency procedures, security, medical, and you will be assessed on all of it. For me, the most stressful part was probably the exams, because you have to get 80% or above to pass the exam. So I was very nervous before every exam. That is why it is very important to take the training seriously. This isn't university, it is a job. So just stay focused and do your best. Another question that I get asked a lot is whether food is included during training, and the answer is no. So there's a cafeteria where you can buy like coffee and food during your lunch breaks. I say lunch breaks because it's not really a long break that you get. So they have like a range of options, like healthier choices, pizza, pasta, hot dogs, you name it. So I personally bought coffee every single day because that was just like my little treat for the day. But I would just suggest like buying the cheaper coffee. Personally, I feel like the cheaper coffee tasted better anyways, but that's just my opinion. But also I would suggest after you are like settled in, just to pack your own lunch. I mean, I didn't, but I'm like trying to give you like advice. Yeah, you can still treat yourself to a little coffee every day, but like if you pack your lunch, you're already saving a lot of money. Then another question that I get a lot is about age. Are there 3-year-olds in training? The answer is yes. So in my batch, there was a guy that was 31, and then I also know of another girl which was in another batch, and she is 30, I think. So you can definitely still join if you are 30 years old. I think that covers pretty much everything, but if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them down below. I also post a lot of cabin crew content on my other social media platforms, so make sure you follow me on there, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!